All that begins by showing a high school girl named Paget Sawyer, who works as a TikTok influencer with many followers and has become a brand ambassador for several beauty products. The gorgeous and fashionable Paget lives in a simple house with her divorced mother, who works as a local nurse. Although she pretends to live in an upscale condo to hide her real living conditions from her followers and sponsors, Paget made enough money from her profession as a famous influencer so that she could help the family's economy and save for her college tuition at New York University. Because Paget always looks luxurious and fashionable to support her popularity in cyberspace, her mother often advises her not to follow her friends' lifestyles, who most of them come from wealthy families. Every morning before leaving for school, Paget is always picked up by her friends, two girls named Alden and Quinn, who come from wealthy families. Because she doesn't want to be found out that she comes from a poor family, Paget pretends to be standing in front of the entrance of a luxury condominium building to wait for her friends. Paget and her friends seem to be up to something because her boyfriend, an influencer and aspiring hip-hop artist named Jordan Van Dronen, is having a birthday and she's planning to surprise him. The scene then switches and shows a young man named Cameron Queller, who is about to go to school with his younger sister, Bryn. Cameron looks annoyed at his sister, who really loves Jordan, because, according to him, Jordan is a young delinquent who only cares about his popularity. Bryn seemed to ignore her brother's words and said he only envied Jordan because he was much more handsome and popular than Cameron, who was not even popular in his own school. Cameron does not deny his sister's words because she is a little different from his schoolmates. He never really cared about his appearance as long as he was comfortable with what he was wearing. Apart from being fond of photography, Cameron apparently likes classic things. He never thought about what other people thought of him as long as they didn't interfere with his life. Because of this, he only has one good friend at school, a girl named Nisha, whom they both plan to go on vacation after high school graduation. In another place, Paget and her friends visited Jordan's filming location to surprise him on his birthday. She asked Alden to broadcast live on her TikTok account when she was going to surprise Jordan. However, unexpectedly, she caught him, who turned out to be making out with a girl named Aniston. Paget suddenly felt angry and threw her homemade cake at Jordan. Because it was broadcast live online, all the chaos was witnessed by millions of people worldwide who are her followers. After that, Paget locked herself in her room and refused to go to school. Her mother, Anna, who felt worried for her daughter, then tried to comfort her, who was heartbroken. Paget later received a call from Quinn, who told her that she lost a lot of followers after yesterday's embarrassing incident, especially after she got called the bubble girl. It didn't stop there. Her sponsor on social media, a woman named Jessica, contacted and informed her that their cooperation had to be temporarily suspended because she had become the butt of netizens on social media. The next day, Paget returned to school and wondered why people mocked her, even though it was Jordan who was caught having an affair. Because of this, Jordan became increasingly arrogant, especially after his followers increased rapidly. Paget felt very betrayed by him because she's the one who made him become so popular and loved by girls. Alden, who doesn't seem to believe what her friend says about Paget could make someone famous, then challenged her to know if she could make other people famous or not. Paget confidently accepts the bet and is determined to turn someone popular like Jordan and the king of prom at the school dance. Paget and her friends then agreed to make Cameron their bet because he was geeky and often bullied by Jordan and his friends. Paget looks excited because if she manages to make Cameron handsome and popular, Jordan will definitely feel very upset. The next day, Paget began approaching Cameron by pretending to be a volunteer for a fundraising event at the school. However, he didn't seem interested in her and just walked away. On the other hand, Cameron's sister, Bryn, turns out to be a Paget fan and a loyal follower. She was happy to tell Paget everything about her brother. She told her that Cameron worked part-time on a farm as an ostler because he loves all things horses. Upon learning that, the next day, Paget met Cameron at the ranch, arguing that she wanted to practice horseback riding. He reasoned that he still had so much work to do that he wouldn't have time to teach her to ride. However, Paget insisted on helping him clean the stables to get his job done quickly. After finishing his job, Cameron fulfilled his promise to teach her to ride. However, Paget fell from her horse while taking a photo using her phone. The incident was quite embarrassing for her, but she laughed happily when she managed to make him experience a similar embarrassing incident. The next day, Paget invites Cameron and Nisha to attend a karaoke party that will be held at Quinn's house. Cameron initially refused the offer, but Nisha seems interested in coming there and tells Paget she will come to the party with him. However, when they arrived at the party, Cameron and Nisha looked surprised because the dress code for the party was swimwear while they wore full everyday clothes. But Paget didn't seem to mind it and greeted them very kindly. She told them that this was the last time she attended a karaoke party with her schoolmates because next year, she plans to study at New York University. On the other hand, Cameron told her that he wasn't going to college because it just costs a lot of money and time. When Paget was singing on stage, Cameron seemed interested in her, who he thought was very beautiful. But suddenly, Paget's attention was distracted when Jordan came to the party with Aniston. Not wanting her to be humiliated by Jordan again, Cameron took the initiative to go on stage and sing with her. Unexpectedly, their appearance reaped a lot of praise because it was very good. Moreover, their performances were broadcast live on social media, so the number of Paget's followers and her popularity rose. Uncomfortable with Jordan's presence, Paget decides to go home, and Cameron offers to take her home. On the way, Paget deliberately put her purse in Cameron's car so that she had a chance to visit his house. After that, Nisha, knowing that Paget seemed to be interested in Cameron, then warned her not to play with his feelings because Nisha already considered him as her own brother and didn't want anyone to hurt his feelings. Paget seems to understand this and asks Nisha not to worry. Arriving at home, Bryn told her brother that he became very famous on social media after his performance on stage with Paget, which captivated many audiences. Not long after, Paget called Bryn. She said that she left her purse in Cameron's car and now she's already in front of their house. While Paget and Cameron are riding together, she asks about his interest in photography and hopes to see the photos. Cameron then took her to a place often used as a background photo, namely a train station always full of people. They then told each other about their lives. He tells Paget that he and his younger sister lost their mother years ago and live with their grandmother while their father is residing in Sweden. Paget told him that she lives with her divorced mother, a local nurse. He then took a candid photo of her because he was attracted to her. After that, Paget invited Cameron to Alden's Great Gatsby-themed birthday party, where he agreed to come to the party, provided he could invite Bryn and Nisha. Paget didn't mind it either. Long story short, Paget then invited Cameron, Bryn, and Nisha to shop and decide on the costumes they would wear to the party, where she was stunned when she saw Cameron's very muscular and athletic body. After that, Paget shaves Cameron's long hair to spruce up his appearance and make him the most handsome young man women dream of. Then she begins to bond more with him. That night, they rushed to Alden's birthday party, and everyone seemed stunned by Cameron, who was just an ordinary geeky young man who turned into a very charming, handsome, and ready to conquer every woman's heart. Cameron, who is now the center of attention, even felt very awkward because he had never received much attention before. In fact, Alden praised Paget's ability to change the appearance of Cameron and his companions to be very cool and charming. On the other hand, Jordan asked his friends to go live when he was sad that Aniston dumped him. He wasn't really feeling down, and he was doing it all just to be more famous. Seeing Paget starting to get up after breaking up with him, Jordan tries to persuade her to be willing to go out with him again. However, she flatly refused his offer and immediately left him. Shortly afterward, Jordan met with Bryn, who was his biggest fan. He did not waste the opportunity to approach her while taking advantage of her. Meanwhile, Paget and Cameron seemed to get carried away and almost kissed when they were busy taking pictures at the photo booth. Not long after, there was a fuss when Bryn told everyone that Jordan had tried to rape her. Jordan, who did not accept the accusation, immediately defended himself. However, Cameron did not stay silent. His sister was treated like that, so he and Jordan got into a fight. But then, Jordan instead threw Cameron's favorite camera into the swimming pool, which was very valuable to him, because the camera was the only thing left by his mother. Cameron ultimately decided to leave the party in a rage, despite Paget's attempts to console him, causing her to regret following through with the bet. But she does not back down from the challenge when Alden asks whether she will continue their bet or not. Alden seems happy that Paget continues their bet, where she then plans something to destroy her and asks Jordan to help her. Knowing they have the same goal of destroying Paget, Jordan accepts her offer. The next day, Cameron is shocked by his schoolmates' treatment of him, where they all think he is so cool because of his fight with Jordan last night. Not even a few of them praised his courage against Jordan. On the other hand, Paget meets Jordan and Alden, who reveal her plot to become prom queen alongside Jordan. Alden tells her that she knows Paget comes from a poor family, revealing her true colors, and that she is responsible for live streaming Paget's outburst. Paget seemed surprised by all of Alden's words, and Quinn did not think Alden had the heart to betray Paget because she was jealous of her. After Alden leaves, Quinn tells Paget that she shouldn't be ashamed to be the daughter of a local nurse because, whatever family she comes from, she will always be her best friend. Cameron then went to Paget to apologize because he had just left her last night. He then invited her to his house to see a collection of his photos that had never been shown to anyone. He then expressed his love for her, and they finally kissed. Paget begins to fall for Cameron, but she is afraid to express her feelings after kissing him. Feeling very sorry for him, she immediately left there. When Bryn finds out that Paget kissed Cameron, she advises her brother to ask Paget to prom. Bryn suggested that he do it romantically because Paget seems to have the same feelings as him, but she might be too shy to confess her feelings. The next day, Paget told Quinn that she had begun to fall for Cameron, and they kissed in his house. Shortly afterward, Cameron approached Paget and asked her to go to prom in a very romantic way. But then, in an attempt to ensure Paget's loss, Alden exposes the challenge she made with her, which makes Cameron angry. Knowing that she had only been using him all this time, he just walked away. After the incident, Paget felt guilt over Cameron for making him a bet. Anna then encouraged her daughter by saying that everyone makes mistakes, but she must learn from her mistakes and apologize to Cameron because he must have been very hurt. Before going to the prom, Paget contacts Quinn, who happens to be going to the prom with Nisha. She then reassures Nisha that she will correct her mistakes and apologizes to Cameron for everything that happened. She assured Nisha that she really fell in love with him and did not want to hurt his feelings. After that, Paget called Bryn, who was angry with her because she had hurt her brother's feelings. She then apologized to Bryn, assured her that she's really fallen in love with him, and promised to apologize to Cameron. However, Paget asks Bryn to help persuade Cameron to let him come to the prom. Bryn came to Cameron at the ranch and persuaded her brother to make up with Paget. She said that Cameron's attitude began to change for the better, and he became happier when Paget came into their lives, making her feel happy because since their mother died, Cameron had never looked so happy. Cameron then hugged his sister and apologized for not realizing that Bryn was so worried about him. Meanwhile, at the prom, Alden asks Paget to admit her defeat in their bet since Cameron didn't come to the prom. But she insisted on waiting for Cameron because she was sure he would come to prom. The headmaster then announced the king of prom, which was won by Jordan, while the queen of prom was won by Paget. She then revealed to everyone that she had been lying to her followers about her real life all this time. She realized that it was her mistake to only focus on making money and fame on social media without ever thinking about the feelings of the people around her. Paget apologizes to her mother and everyone else, then returns the queen of prom's crown to the headmaster. Convinced that she was the second candidate for the queen of prom after Paget, Alden confidently stepped up to the stage. But apparently, the second place for the queen of prom was won by a girl in gothic clothes named Celeste. After that, Paget left the party and finally met Cameron, who came to prom on horseback. She then apologizes to him for making him a bet and says that from now on, she will be just who she is. Paget confessed her love for Cameron, and they both eventually made up. On the other hand, Bryn was very happy because her brother finally found happiness and officially started dating Paget. The film ends by showing Paget and Cameron going on vacation to various places and doing fun things, including getting a loser tattoo because she lost a bet with Alden. The moral that can be learned from this movie is, don't ever lie just to be famous on social media because sooner or later, our lies will be exposed and backfire on us. Don't be afraid to show yourself as you are because the people who care about you won't leave you, even if you're in the worst situation.